It is time to leave your worries outside. Join us inside the Treehouse Football Podcast, where outside I'm talking about you leave your regular worries, but in here we bring in all of our football baggage, especially when it comes to the Cowboys, because as Cowboys fans for all our lives, myself and Trey, we have lots of Cowboys baggage, have now for pushing 30 years, and now we are left in the middle of another postseason where the Cowboys ducked out too soon. Or right on time based on its recent history. Because were you really surprised? I wasn't really surprised. I was angry, disappointed, hurt, all those things, but honestly, not surprised. You?
No, we have no right to be surprised. We are, as Cowboy fans, we are like the guy on Jerry Springer who can't believe the exotic dancer he met 2 weeks ago is cheating on him
with a Klan member.
Yeah, that's it's that's our lot in life. We're shocked every year. We're shocked that our stripper girlfriend is cheating on us
with the midget twins.
Mm-hmm.
It's really everybody at this point. It's like she's taking all comers, and
she's too sore for us when it gets to be our turn.
You can almost end it right here because that sums it up pretty nicely. It's as Cowboys fans, we're sore. We're sore from the pounding and the lack of lube and the lack of emotional connection from our team. But yeah, so obviously we know the Cowboys were bounced in the wild card round at home against the Packers. And I will say this about the Dallas Cowboys and the media. The media, there's only one thing that the media loves more than a winning Dallas Cowboys team, because when the Cowboys are winning, they bring ratings, right? But the one thing that the media loves more than a winning Dallas Cowboys team is a winning Dallas Cowboys team that throws up in the playoffs, because then they get the best of both worlds. They get the eyeballs and the money that come with a successful Cowboys team. And then when that same Cowboys team face plants in the playoffs, now they get all the negativity to go along with it. Because let's face it, if the Cowboys were doing one of those runs that they had back in the early 2000s, where it was like, 3 straight 5-11 seasons?
Yeah.
There's really nothing there. They're rebuilding. They're just losing. There's nothing exciting there. It's just something that most teams go through. But the Cowboys are their own animal, where they'll be good enough to get everybody's attention. Because I think we've all seen the meme. It's the Dallas Cowboys fans cycle repeat thing.
Cycle of yes.
And it's very accurate. Where it's, you have the offseason, preseason, and then you get the Cowboys beat up on good teams, and then they fall apart in the playoffs, and then you start with the offseason back over again, and then it's the never-ending cycle.
Do you know that this stat, it probably just stung my soul. Do you know the only two teams in the NFC that have not made it to the championship game this century?
Well, I know one of them.
Yes.
And the other?
The Commanders. That really should, that is the most glaring indictment on the last quarter century of Cowboys football, or, I guess 24 years, whatever. Your company in the basement is the Commanders. Just the poster child for poorly run teams.
Yes. There's no arguing that. And I would also like to throw this out. In addition to the things that the media loves, is a successful Cowboys team and then a failing Cowboys team, is because you get all the drama that comes with it. And it's not just football drama, because nothing with the Cowboys ever stays on the field, because everything with the Cowboys inevitably bleeds over into personal lives, everyday stuff. And when you're a player for the Cowboys, they don't just talk about your play on the field. They talk about all of it. And that's true whether you're the quarterback, running back, defensive end, whatever it is. If you have a high enough profile, all this stuff is going to be under a spotlight, right?
Sure.
And so that exact thing has been happening now over the past week plus after the Cowboys lost to the Packers. You get all the drama coming out, and not just normal drama, but good old-fashioned family drama. And I don't mean football family drama where it's, CeeDee Lamb saying something about Dak, which maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But it's honest to God, Cowboys players, family members taking to social media to either support their family member, blast a teammate, whatever it is. The media is eating it up because it's one thing that we love, that we crave as humans, and that is drama and conflict. And they're getting it from CeeDee Lamb's mama, from Dak Prescott's brother, from Micah Parsons' brother. And keeping in mind, this is not a new thing. Family drama, family in sports has bled over for forever. But it's usually like one person. It might be like one player's wife, or it might be one coach's girlfriend, or something along those lines. Here,
like for
it seems like everybody.
For a while, like it was Patrick Mahomes' brother.
Yes,
it was Aaron Rodgers' brother.
Mm-hmm.
There was always like kind of. I always go back to like Bill Clinton's brother. There was always like that brother, cousin, whatever, that someone that was a problem, but the media.
In the case of Clinton, it might have been the brother cousin.
Yeah, well, but there's always been, what's his name, the Ball brothers and their dad.
Lorenzo Ball, and yeah.
There's always someone, and the media loves that, and especially in this age of social media, it's free content. Good God. But yeah, with the Cowboys, because you have, it's the perfect storm for media. If they go, oh, wait, hang on. Oh, Cowboys, great season. They cowboyed in the playoffs. Oh, wait. Oh, now we've got, there's a bunch of in-house bickering. Yeah. Where's T.O. and the popcorn?
Exactly. And that's exactly what we've had over the last week plus. Tara and I were at lunch, and it was on one of the daily, morning sports shows. I say lunch morning sports show because we're 2 hours ahead of Dallas time here on St. John. So we go to lunch, and on one of the TVs, I think it was ESPN or ESPN something. It's the Get Up Show with Mike Greenberg. And thank you. And I took a photo of it because I wanted to visit this. And it was Cowboys family drama that they were discussing, talking about CeeDee Lamb's mom's comments after the game, Dak Prescott's brother Tad's comments after the game, and Terrence Parsons Jr., Micah's brother, comments after the game. And they're eating it up, as I'm pointing out, because the Cowboys were good, and then they flopped in the playoffs, and all this stuff comes bubbling out. And it's not one family member, it's three. And they're all attached to the three biggest stars that the Cowboys currently have. And I will give you the example. So you've got CeeDee Lamb's mom, Lita Ramirez. After the game, she posted, "Dak isn't it." She also went through in the comments as people are commenting, and she's responding to people, doubling down on it, saying they need to get rid of his ass, saying that Dak Prescott does not want a ring. She says other Cowboys players work hard for a ring, and her son deserves better. Her son being, CeeDee Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
And according to this article on SI.com, perhaps the most concerning part of Ramirez's rant was when she replied to a Houston Texans fan wishing Lamb would join them. She writes, "I wish he would. CJ is great." Talking about CJ Stroud. So that's CeeDee's mama. Then you got Dak's brother, Tad, who posts on Twitter/X, whatever you want to call it, the wingding. "Cowboys fans, why continue to DM me? Trust me, if I could get Dak to leave Dallas, I would. I too want him out of Dallas. The city and organization have been great to him and our family, but done with drama and the so-called fans. But he loves this team and wants to bring it rings." And then he followed that up with saying, He's never spoken badly about the Cowboys as an organization. He says he's never spoken badly about a player on the team or the city of Dallas. It's the so-called fans that he has an issue with because they're pissed off at Dak for failing in the playoffs. And then it's the trifecta. It's like the Cowboys in the history. We like things that come in threes, with Dak and Michael and Emmett. We like our triplets. In this case, the triplets, the third one is Micah Parsons' brother. Let's see, what did he have to say? He joins in on this rigmarole, and he had so much so that his brother had to kind of separate, like Micah had to separate some of the comments. Terrence Parsons said in one of a series of posts defending Micah Parsons on his Twitter account, "I can't wait because you all are really clueless out here. The greatest crimes to this man is being done by his own organization. Y'all going to miss him when he's gone." To which Micah had to respond, "Any comments made by Terrence Parsons Jr. are his and his alone. As you know, if I have something to say, I'm not afraid to say it. I love my team, my brothers on my team in the city of Dallas, and I'm more committed than ever to bring a championship to the greatest fan base on earth." Ooh, right, with family drama.
Yeah, and you get that, like, see, to me, especially when you get Micah Parsons, it really brings back the whole Russell Wilson and the Seattle defense, and after the Super Bowl loss and how that blew up, and the defense thought Russell was a prima donna and everything else. Because you want to talk about, if you have to make me choose, I'm going to choose Micah over Dak.
Interesting. Like, why do you say that? Like, is there something in your mind where you think the Cowboys should choose between one of them, that you think where they should do something with Dak?
No, I'm just saying, if you were to make me choose, I would take your, with seemingly, Hall of Famer, edge rusher, over, the evidence I have of Micah Parsons' greatness is, to me, more complete than it is of Dak.
That makes sense. Okay. That absolutely does make sense. Especially when you think of, in terms of talent, quarterbacks are better now than they've ever been coming into the league, right? Because they throw the ball all over the field, not only in college, but most of them have started even younger, because the spread offenses have been in high school football for over a decade now. And that then has moved its way up into the NFL ranks. That's why the time to judge a quarterback, the window after he's drafted, is so much smaller now than it used to be. Now you get a handful of games, maybe a season, and an organization is going to decide whether or not they think you're the guy, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't do it in that very small amount of time, you're gone. Whereas in the older days, you're committing more money. And maybe part of that is because of the way those rookie contracts are structured, but because of all those things combined, years ago, you'd give a quarterback 5-6 years to actually develop into a quarterback, whereas the quarterbacks nowadays are really close to being NFL developed by the time they get there. So it's a shorter window, and because of that, I think that lends more credibility to what you're saying, Trey, which is, it's more difficult to find a once in a lifetime, a generational talent like a Micah Parsons versus a quarterback like Dak Prescott, who is undoubtedly good, but not great.
Right.
And odds are you can go find another good quarterback.
Right. And that's not, the other thing you really have to factor in with Dak right now is, they're wanting to restructure his deal, and you're talking about making him, I've heard some reports of the highest paid quarterback in the league. I mean, it won't last long, but you have, one of the biggest things I think you really have to look at with Jerry Jones and the Cowboys in the history is he won 3 Super Bowls before the salary cap was really implemented.
Mm-hmm.
The salary cap that he basically came up with and presented and pushed through has, he could money whip a team better than anybody, but salary cap has not been his friend. It's only been in the last, I'll give him 8 to 10 years that, and I think it's been since Steven kind of took over some of those duties, that they've managed the salary cap better.
which is
But
something else that you're saying they're having to navigate going into the offseason, because here we are. We're not even past the Super Bowl yet. Cowboys have lost, and we're already having offseason conversations like Dak's contract, because he's technically signed through 2026. He's got the second highest draft cap hit going into this year, but they can restructure him without asking his permission. They have some sort of conversion thing in the contract, and I don't like getting too far into contract stuff because then it makes it sound like lawyers and that. Bleh. But there's something they can do to convert some of that money to lessen his cap hit, spread it out over a couple of years, changing it into bonus money versus salary, which is not a new thing. That's something that happens very commonly. They restructure a contract, they move salary into signing bonus, and there you have it. But they could do that for Dak or to Dak without getting his permission for it. He's still going to make a ton of money, don't get me wrong. But then there's the other side of it, like you're saying, Trey, is now the time for Dak to say, hey, let's go ahead and just make a whole new deal, which if I'm the Cowboys, I say no, but I don't know what they would do because, like we were saying, you can find a quarterback more easily than you can another Micah Parsons, especially for cheaper. All you got to do is look at Brock Purdy in San Francisco and look how much he's making less than Arch Manning is at Texas. And Arch Manning's not even the starter.
Yeah.
Thanks to those NIL things. And so the question then becomes, if you're Dak, do you even dare to ask for a true extension because you just sucked in your last game of the playoffs? But I guess we'll see what he and his agents do.
Well, I think it also it highlights the other problem with the NFL and for the Cowboys especially, which is if you know, and there is no doubt you could trade Dak and get a hell of a package for him. There are plenty of other teams that would love to have him, but you are then saying, all right, we're starting at zero again and have to go find a quarterback. So, and then it also comes into the Jerry age thing of, you're talking about it's at least a couple year process, and Jerry doesn't. I don't think Jerry is looking for a 5-year rebuild.
No, he's not. I think he knows very much that each season could be his last, and that's the way he's approaching things. And because of that, that's where, if I'm on Dak's side of things, if I'm Dak's representation, which I think is CAA or whoever it is, that's where you got to say, hey, we've got a little bit of leverage here because we're negotiating against a man who's negotiating against death. And there's no time like the present because we know you, Mr. Jones, don't want to miss out on this window because if you go with somebody else, you're probably going to die before they ever do anything worth mentioning. So you got your guy now, so let's pay him like it. And that's a pretty good, arrow to have in your quiver if you're negotiating on the part of Dak Prescott is, well, what do you want to do? You want to die, or do you want at least a decent shot at a ring?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Dak's agent, I'm going, look, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl, and my client is far better than Trent Dilfer. Stick with it's an easy sell if you're his agent to go, you've got a known quantity, and he's very good. Like he can get it for you.
Yeah.
So
it really is a simple thing. I think at this point, Dak could honestly just fire his agents and we could hire the Treehouse here. And then we could do a very simple visual presentation of 2 photos to show to the Jones family on re-signing Dak. One is a photo of Dak looking very handsome right after scoring a touchdown, pointing the finger up to his mom in heaven and going, let's go. And the next photo is a grave with a headstone that says, here lies Jerry Jones. And then you just tell them, Dak or death.
Yeah, that's.
And then you thank them for their time, and they walk out and say, I await your response. Maybe that's, you know what? Maybe that should be the motto for the 2024 season for the Cowboys. This last year, it was the Carpe Omnia, the seize everything, in which they, of course, seized nothing other than the NFC East crown, which is, it doesn't matter if you don't do anything with it in the playoffs. So you go from the 2023 motto of, seize everything, Carpe Omnia, to 2024, Dak or death. Question mark.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of that old Eddie Izzard bit of cake or death and just, Dak or death.
That's
Death,
very
please.
much where I am. Yes, yeah. And that's the interesting thing is you can do that. You can do the whole thing. You can go to the Jerry Jones, be like Dak or death, and then someone says death, and it's like, aha, you said death, and it's like, no, I meant Dak. Well, all right, you can have Dak.
We're gonna run out of Dak at this point.
I think I'm on board with this. Dak or death.
Yeah, Dak or death. Let's start printing the T-shirts.
Man, I can't wait for next season.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
You're in the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
Welcome back inside the Treehouse Football Podcast. Just after today's episode, one more episode of the football podcast, and then there are some interesting and fun and exciting things coming out of the Treehouse. So stay tuned, not only to the shows, the Treehouse Podcast, the Treehouse Friday show, and right here inside the Treehouse Football Podcast, but also on social media for all interesting and new and exciting and fun announcements and information coming soon from the Treehouse. So now that we've covered the Cowboys family drama, we now have the 2024 slogan ready to roll for T-shirts and stickers, Dak or Death, which really just puts a big old smile on my face as I get ready for the next season. That gives us an opportunity to look back at the divisional round that the Cowboys obviously did not participate in and ahead to the conference championship. So we've got last weekend, the Ravens took care of the Texans 34-10. No surprise there. The 49ers survived the Packers 24-21. The Lions sunk the Buccaneers 31-23. And in the big matchup of the weekend, the Chiefs on the road for the first time in the playoffs, they beat the Bills 27-24 in what's basically came out to be kind of an anticlimactic game. But it did include, once again, a Buffalo kicker missing a crucial field goal. So I felt bad for that dude. But it was not entirely his fault. Although Jim Nantz did give him one hell of a jinx right beforehand.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But that was the game I watched the most closely. I watched all of that one, the Chiefs and the Bills, for the reasons that it was sort of the marquee matchup of the weekend. Because it's Allen versus Mahomes. It's Kelsey and Swift. It's got all the excitement that you want from an NFL playoff game. And Mahomes again beats the Bills. Allen can't quite pull it out. And again, not because of the kicker, although he obviously missed his opportunity, but you also had some key drops in that game by Bills wide receivers. I feel bad for Buffalo fans. They kept showing that one dude in the stands crying his eyes out. And I feel it's like, he dug himself out of his house to go to the game to then dig out his own seat in the stands to only be let down by his team. I get it.
Yeah. And, I always say one of the most unappreciated accomplishments in sports history is the Bills making it to 4 Super Bowls in a row.
I agree.
But that's still got to be just a bitter pill that you've made it to 4 and don't have a Super Bowl.
It's almost like a really twisted Morpheus in the Matrix. Like instead of him offering a blue pill and a red pill, it's his hand holding out a blue pill and a red pill, and then his other hand is a Buffalo Bills pill. In which case, you get really, 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 really close, but you never get there.
Yeah. Yeah, you get to win. Do a lot of winning, but I don't know. I thought that the Bills game, the Bills Chiefs game was interesting because both teams had huge expectations, and really, if you look at it, very kind of for their standards, mediocre years.
Yeah, I know it's weird to say that because 11-6 for those two teams is kind of like meh, because they both had points in their season where they struggled.
Mm-hmm.
But like most good teams, They figure it out just in time to make a run in the playoffs, which, of course, as we covered some over previous weeks, the Cowboys have yet to figure out how to do that. But as we look ahead for the AFC side, now you get a matchup a lot of people that were predicting at the beginning of the year. It's the Ravens, it's the Chiefs. Who are you taking, Trey?
You know, I have I've gone back and forth on this, and I think Lamar Jackson is an incredible talent, but at the end of the day, it's a cliche, but you know, you can't be the man until you beat the man. And so right now I'm going to go with the Chiefs because they've done it. And that's the one thing, you know, it's the one knock against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens is they haven't. So, but Baltimore is playing, is probably the best team in the league. So they should win it.
Ooh, this is why we need a should jar. Because my wife and I learned years ago that one of the most dangerous words in the English language is the word should. Just because something should happen doesn't mean that it will. There's numerous examples of that in our lives that we've had to experience. So whenever we hear the word should, we get real antsy about it.
Yeah.
And I'm with you because based on the eyeball test, the Ravens should be favored in this game. And they are. Although I don't think it's by very much. I'm not sure what the line is at the point. I don't know what Vegas thinks about it, but I'm certain it's razor thin. But I'm with you. I think until some team can prove otherwise, you got to ride with the Chiefs. I've adopted the Chiefs as my team for the remainder of this postseason. One, because they're originally from Dallas. They're the original professional Dallas football team. Before the Cowboys existed, there were the Dallas Texans. And those Dallas Texans eventually were moved by the Hunt family to Kansas City, where they now reside. Not the Hunt family. Most of them still live in Dallas.
Yeah.
But the team is in Kansas City. So that's one reason why. And also because, man, I'm getting sucked into the Chiefs fandom. And I will also admit that, or my wife needs to admit that she's been sucked into the Swift Kelsey stuff, even though it wasn't something that she sought out. It was one of those social media algorithms that showed her something and she clicked on it. And then just like the Social Dilemma documentary on Netflix, she clicked on that one thing and then it kept feeding her stuff. And like Pac-Man, she keep eating the little bites of it. And now I'm looking up how to change the Kansas City logo from KC Chiefs to KC Swifties. And I'm enthralled. I like seeing Taylor do the swag dance thing in the stands. And I loved even more seeing Jason Kelsey up in the stands, shirtless, drinking beer, and giving Taylor Swift the full Kelsey family experience that she had not had until this past Sunday. And that's what had left me wondering. It's like, okay, now you're getting the full Kelsey family experience. Are you still in? And she seems like it.
Yeah, that's Jason Kelsey cracked me up because I don't know if you saw the video of him, out in the parking lot, chugging beers with the Bills fans.
Yeah, what did he do? Did he take a shot out of a cannonball, or was that a bowling ball? Or
yeah, it was.
I'm not sure if that was liquor in there, or it could have been straight up gunpowder out of a cannonball, and I think he still would have downed it.
Yeah, just belched up a giant flame and gone about his day.
I would like at this point, I think if Jason Kelsey is wondering what he wants to do for the next phase of his life called retirement, if he wants to have, a part-time job just to kind of stay busy on occasion, he could hire out his services as a one-man cheering section to whoever wants him. I don't care if it is, the speech you have to give at the PTA. I don't care if it's a motivational speech that you need to give your kids T-ball team, or if it's trying to muster up the courage to ask a girl out on a date. If I could have one person as my cheering section, it would honest to God be Jason Kelsey. I want that man in my corner.
Okay. I don't disagree with you at all. I think that is a fantastic idea, but I think there's one better, which is, so you remember how Fox started it and they did it with Tony Saragusa, where they do like the man on the field and, he was the lineman and he was going to give you the in-game perspective of what, man, you mic up, Kelsey, put him shirtless in the stands, drinking beer with the fans. I want that sideline report. I want that fourth quarter commentary.
You're right. Because first quarter, man, I want the right after the third or fourth quarter beer sales cutoff report from the stands with I think he could do both. I think he could motivate your T-ball team or motivate you before your softball game or something, and then also I want that in-game report from the fans in the stands with Jason Kelsey.
Yeah, I mean, I just I want to hear Jim Nantz do a play-by-play of Kelsey, doing a beer bong, with a 10-foot, hat. just something stupid. And
you know what? That's not the play-by-play we need, but it's the play-by-play we deserve.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you've got the on the other side of the conference title game, you've got the Detroit Lions up against the non-surprising to be there San Francisco 49ers. Who are you taking there?
Niners.
Yeah, same here.
There's no way you can believe in Detroit. I mean, and that joke exists on multiple levels.
It really does. I don't believe in Detroit, but I do believe in Dan Campbell. I do believe in that man's ability to motivate people. And it's not going to happen, at least not right now. But I can't help but wonder when I see what he's been able to do in Detroit, and knowing that he started his career as a Dallas Cowboy behind Jason Witten, I can't help but think, what would a Dan Campbell mentality do to a Cowboys team? That, especially coming off of a year like this one, where one of our biggest complaints with this Cowboys team was that they seem to have, no fire in their bellies, no balls when they needed it. And that's everything Dan Campbell brings to the table.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're talking about going from, no expression on the sideline to, you don't know if he's going to, kill somebody or cry.
Yeah. That's, as a player, that's an interesting relationship to have with your coach. Is you look over to the sideline and you're not sure if he loves you or hates you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't know if he wants to hug you or kill you,
but you might be in danger either way.
He is a hunter. He is a hunter. Like Micah Parsons has his lion dance. He likes to say lion-y type things. Meanwhile, Dan, if he was to look over at the sidelines, Dan Campbell's going to be wearing a lion.
Yeah.
And let's see how you respond then. It's like Dan Campbell, while being a hunter, he doesn't necessarily have to have a trophy wall where he puts all of his trophies up. He probably just throws them on. That's just like his t-shirt game.
A t-shirt or caps?
It might be more of like a combination. Like it's
the backward, because the backward lion's head, that would be really impressive.
All right, I'm proposing a trade right now. McCarthy for Campbell. And it's not going to be an even trade because we're going to have to give a lot more to Detroit. Maybe if we propose a trade with Detroit, we get Dan Campbell, they get Mike McCarthy and Roanoke. You get a nice, lovely suburb.
Well, I mean, I was trying to think. McCarthy.
We're not going to miss Roanoke that much. We still got South Lake and Trophy Club. We have North Tarrant County, nice suburbs to spare. We can ship one off to Detroit along with Mike McCarthy if we can get Dan Campbell wearing animal carcasses on the sidelines.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else could sweeten the deal. I mean,
we could try to sneak Sunnyvale in there.
Yeah, I don't think that's what Detroit needs. I was thinking more along, like where's the little tech hub that you could throw in and they could fix RoboCop.
So what we could do is sneak Round Rock in there and see if Austin notices.
Yeah, exactly. Austin would be happy to get rid of Round Rock. Yeah, just throw him in part of the deal.
All right, see, the entire offseason has been done. We're all done.
Yeah.
There's nothing anyone else on any other sports show can say. We've got it all handled. We just need the Jones family to pull the trigger.
Yeah, and set up, Dan Campbell, let him go on a hunting trip, safari, and see what headwear he brings back.
I'm gonna laugh when it's Tony Pollard. I'm kidding. We'll have more football to discuss next week, right here inside the Treehouse Football Podcast. And the only way that Dan Campbell would truly be able to get Tony Pollard is because he'd probably fall down. We'll see you next week.